Welcome to Not Starving Artists, the podcast. I'm your host, Brooke Benson, money coach and equity actor. I am your financial cheerleader, here to help you build your financial confidence and have power over your money. The best part, no budgeting or bi-weekly paychecks required. I went from being a broke BFA grad having weekly panic attacks about money to a financially confident, wealth-building actor and business owner. Money gets to feel fun, simple, and sexy, and I am going to show you how. All right, everyone, before we dive into this podcast, because we are talking about best business practices today, I want to give a small disclaimer that the information provided in this podcast does not and is not intended to constitute legal or tax advice. Instead, all this information and content here is for general informational purposes only. This is purely educational and opinions. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are talking about best practices for creative business owners, for small business owners, for coaches. If you have decided to create your own income sources, this episode is for you. Now, I've been having conversations with my clients recently about some of these best practices, right? Like setting up the organization of what it looks like to have a separate business financial money flow, right? LLCs, taxes, how do I separate things, business credit cards, all of that stuff, we're going to dive into it today. Not only because I'm having these conversations with my clients, but I've been getting a lot of DMs about some of these questions. So I just want to make an episode that I can bring you all of this information in one place. Okay. I also have, this is why I created a module inside of Cashed Up Creatives, which is my group program for creatives who want to become full-time artists, who want to get 3 months ahead on bills. Inside of this curriculum, there is a training called Treat Your Art Like a Business. And there are multiple videos there. This is getting released in July. It's the bonus module that's being released soon. It's all about how to do your own bookkeeping. What is the difference between an LLC and a sole proprietorship? How to create your own money flow for your business, all of that tactical stuff that comes alongside being a business owner that is not about the actual art or the craft that you are doing inside of your business. It's a whole training module on that. And the reason that I created that inside of the curriculum is because for so many of us, right, like myself included, we get into creating our own business or like doing something ourselves, not because we want to do the business side of it, right? We do it because we want to do more of the thing we're excited about, right? So for me, it's money coaching, right? Like I just want to coach on money all day, every day. I don't want to have to figure out all the legal implications of becoming an S Corp and having an LLC and da-da-da-da-da. But in order for me to continue to do the thing that I love to do, that's something I need to figure out, right? And so I'm saying this as a reminder that you were not born knowing all of this. There is no shame in not knowing any of this, right? For me, I knew the financial side of starting a business when I started one, but all the legal stuff, I had to learn all that shit on my own. I was just talking on Instagram stories the other day that like I'd be getting letters and like having to deal with this legal stuff and like having to understand the legal jargon of running a business. It was really stressful for me at first, but I utilized the same things I'm going to talk about today. I utilized the same stuff in my money life, right? To make money not overwhelming, to not avoid my money, to build a healthy relationship with my money. I use those same exact principles to develop a healthy relationship with the legal side of my business, right? And so I want you to be able to do the same thing, not just with your personal money, but with the financial logistics of your money inside of your business, right? Because your business equals money. Like they are so intertwined. And even if I have a couple of clients actually who are like acting or artistic coaches, right? And have a career where their business is about like the craft that they are doing, their literal art. And even though it's about your literal art, at the end of the day, you have to feel so confident charging for your services. You have to feel confident in your profitability, right? Of selling that art, selling that craft. Even if you don't have a business, right? Like now we're getting into it. Even if you don't have a business and you are just working as an actor, as a creator, as something in the artistic creative realm, right? You are being paid for your artistic services, right? Your money is always going to be intertwined with the thing that you love to do. So really getting intimate and loving the logistics side of that is just going to make the thing you love to do and like why you got into this in the first place so much easier to continue doing. All right, off my soapbox. So we're gonna talk about the 5 best money practices, right? For business owners, for coaches, if you have a business that is separate from like a W-2 or like your freelance income, this is for you. 5 best practices. First one is separate your finances immediately. Okay, so your business money should be totally separate from your personal money. Okay, now this doesn't have to be a huge complicated thing. It just means there is a separate business checking account and business savings account inside of a bank that is just for your business money, right? The money you are making and then utilizing inside of your business. This also includes a separate business credit card. Okay, so having a separate place where your income is coming in and you are spending on business expenses, right, in a separate place. Why you want these 2 things separate, right, separate from your personal money, is for 2 reasons. One, legal, right? Like the literal legal implications of having intermingled money can get real sticky down the road, right? And even as you're first starting out, even if you're not really making a profit yet, the sooner you can separate your money, the better, right? Because you're not going to have to play cleanup crew down the road. And this leads me into the second reason why this is important, and I argue the more important reason, is because it helps your brain with understanding your business. The organization of your money in this way is going to give you so much clarity on the health of your business. You're going to see so clearly what you're spending in your business and what you're making, right? And what the margins are, and then how much you're actually able to then pay yourself from your business. It's going to make you have such a deep understanding of your business finances. But when it's all intermingled, right, it's kind of hard to tell, like, even as you're creating your own personal money flow, right? So you're creating you have your firm and your flex accounts. This is part of the anti-budget money strategy that I teach, but you're separating your personal finances to make it really clear what it costs to live as you month to month to month. But the thing is, if your business expenses are all mingled in with your personal expenses or your personal income, like you have a bunch of jobs, but then you also have your other business income and it's all coming in, it's really hard to tell what it actually costs to live as you, not what it costs for your business to live, right? And so getting clarity around your numbers, separating all of that business stuff out is going to be key. Because here's the thing, when it comes to solving money problems, you want to be so clear on the money problem you're actually trying to solve before you try and solve it. So I actually had a client who she thought she had an overspending problem. She literally thought her spending was out of control. But what we realized as we started cleaning up her money flow and separating her business finances into her business money flow, what we realized was, oh, she just wasn't profitable in her business. Her personal money is actually totally fine. She is not stressed. She is fine with her spending in her personal life. It was that her brain was telling her like, oh yeah, I'm making money in my business, but her expenses were so high and there were so many things she like didn't realize were part of her business. So there was just like a cleanup that needed to happen. And what we realized was, okay, you don't need to worry about the martinis you're buying. We need to worry about how to make your business more profitable and lower your expenses because you don't need all these expenses right now, right? So we figured out the actual problem that needed to be solved just by organization and separating your finances into 2 separate areas. And these don't need to be like business branded checking and savings accounts and credit cards, right? You can just open a separate checking and savings account at your current bank and start running your business money through there. Now, once you become an LLC, which we'll talk about, that's number 5. Once you start like legally incorporating your business and there's like more structure around it, you are going to want to move into business specific accounts. But for right now, if that's not you, just get a separate credit card. The most important, like even if you are incorporated as an LLC, the separation is the most important part, right? That like the IRS can see that your business money is separate. That is the most important part. Okay, so number 2, get a CPA Okay, get a CPA. If you have your own business, if you are running your own separate business, you need to have a tax person on your team, on your board of directors that is filing for you, right? So at the end of the year, when you are doing your taxes, you have someone who is doing it for you. Now, why I am saying that is because the tax code is changing constantly, all the time. And it is these people's literal full-time job to understand the tax code. And even some of them don't even fully understand the tax code, right? We'll talk about getting a good CPA in a second. But like, this is their full-time job because it's so confusing, okay? So you want to make sure that you have someone on your team that is helping you navigate it. And in case there's an audit or like something is wrong, you have a professional whose job it is to handle this stuff to help you out during that time. It's like giving yourself that support for an area of money that may feel more stressful, like taxes. Now, what I will say about this is hiring a CPA does not mean that you never now have to think about taxes or understand your taxes. You need to have an intimate knowledge about your taxes, how they're being filed, how your CPA works, and your bookkeeping. Now, for those of you who don't know what bookkeeping is just a log, a place, a way to keep track of the money that's coming in and then what you're spending in your business, which is going to be, all of those things are then going to be deducted from your profit, right, or from your income that then you have to pay taxes on, right, which equals your profit. So let me break that down. You're tracking the money you're bringing in, your income, and then your expenses, the things you're spending on inside of your business. Your income minus your expenses equals your profit, right? Like what are you actually profiting from your business? And your profit is what you pay taxes on, okay? So that's what bookkeeping is. It's the way you actually keep track of all of that. So what I will say is that I highly recommend doing your own bookkeeping until you get to a certain level, until your business gets a little bigger, a little bit more complicated, where like the bookkeeping starts to be just like tactically too much for you to do. But you already have the intimate knowledge of how your business financial health works and how to track certain things, so that when you do hire a bookkeeper, you know who the good ones are and you know how you like understand what it looks like inside of one of these softwares. My personal favorite, if you're doing your own bookkeeping, is a software called Wave. I'm not sponsored, but they're great. I use them myself. A lot of CPAs will want you to use something called QuickBooks, but those are just like examples of softwares. But at the end of the day, like, you could do your bookkeeping in a Google spreadsheet. It's gonna require more mental math and like tactical stuff. But I want you to be fully intimate with what's going out and what's coming in inside of your business every single month. And with your CPA, right, this is gonna give you more language and more like in the trenches with your taxes and money language and understanding to be able to have really intelligent conversations with your CPA, to ask the right questions. I actually had some CPA experiences, right, where I was catching things that they were doing wrong on my taxes because I had such a deep knowledge of how money works in general, but then also like how my taxes were being calculated. And I was asking questions of like, hey, why are you doing it this way? Or like, I actually don't think that's correct. Can we double check on that? Right? Because CPAs are not gods, right? There's no like official CPA stamp of approval. Yes, there is. There's a literal certification, right? Like, they are a certified personal accountant, but a certificate doesn't mean anything, right? Just like a college degree doesn't mean anything. So I want to give you some tactical questions that you can ask a CPA when you are finding one to bring onto your team, right? Like, I want you to, especially if you have a CPA right now that you like don't super trust, I want you to know that your CPA should make you feel supported. Your CPA should never make you feel dumb. Your CPA should explain things to you if you have a question, right? If your CPA doesn't do any of that, red flag, right? So some of the questions you can ask. One is, do you have experience filing taxes inside of my current state, right? So like for me, I would be like, do you have experience filing taxes for people who are based in New York City, who have a company registered in New York City? Because New York City taxes are very different than taxes other places. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to look for a New York City specific CPA, because I do business with people kind of all over the country. I want someone who has a understand, especially because I was moving a lot. Like also this was before I moved to New York City, but I wanted someone who has an understanding of kind of taxes at large, right? They weren't like the mom and pop tax filing business down the street that helps people in my county, like mom and pop. That's not what we're looking for, but that they have experience filing where you are currently based. You also want to ask them if they've worked with business owners before, if they've worked with creatives before, how have they navigated like creative tax deductions before? How do they feel about like you can ask them on like a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you believe the statement like write off your life, right? Or like how much do you like to utilize deductions? You usually want someone who's about in like the 6 or 7 range. You usually don't want someone who's at like a full 10. They're like, we're going to write off every single dime that we possibly can. Like, we don't really want to veer into that territory, but you also want someone who's comfortable really looking for deductions and ways to lower your tax liability. So that's a question you can ask. You can also ask how they communicate with you, right? If you have questions about what they're doing, how much understanding will you have about what they're doing? Will you have access to them like during the year? How does their communication work is what I'm getting at. So you can ask these questions to really get a feel for how they work, how they view taxes in general. Like just like everyone has a different opinion on ways to like market a business, right? There's like a million different kinds of business coaches. There's a million different kind of like schools of acting technique. There's also a million different ways that CPAs go about taxes. Yes, there's one tax code, but there's different ways to utilize it and view it and have opinions on it. So you want to get a feel for these people that you are going to hire onto your team. You want to trust them and you want to vibe with them. So as you're searching for a CPA, you want to have conversations with multiple people. So get like 5 consultation calls with potential CPAs on your calendar over the next month and start sussing out and feeling out like if you've never had any of these kinds of calls before, if you haven't really fully searched for a CPA before, you want a myriad of experiences inside of consultation calls to let you decide like, ooh, I really liked that. Or like this thing hit my ear wrong. Or like, oh, I'm hearing all of them saying the same things, right? Another thing you can ask them on your call is if you have a specific issue that you're struggling with, like one of my clients, there's like 2 of them that each have businesses. And so she was wondering about like how they could classify both of them together or them separately and how they would navigate that. So she had this like very specific thing that she wanted help with from a CPA. So she asked that question of how they would navigate that. And then she got to hear different responses from each of them on how they would navigate that specific circumstance, right? She also got to hear like who is well versed enough in that realm to have an answer, or were they kind of fumbling around, okay? So you're going to get multiple calls on the calendar to vibe, right? To really understand what feels good and what doesn't. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, best practices for creative business owners and coaches. Prioritize profit. Prioritize profit. Like we were talking about earlier, right? With your bookkeeping. Your income minus your expenses equals your profit. I see so many people when they start a business just start spending and spending and spending and spending, but without real intention behind getting profitable. Like, yes, they want to be profitable, but it's more from an energetic standpoint of like, I'm just going to keep spending and these are the things I have to do to run a business. And they forget to look at how much money is actually going into their pocket from all of this work they're doing, all of these investments they're making. Which is why doing your own bookkeeping, or even if you have a bookkeeper that you're already working with, having a monthly, during your monthly financial CEO party, sitting down with that, Profit and loss statement is what they'll send to you. But sitting down with that bookkeeping and seeing what's happening in your numbers, okay? Because you want to make sure that even if you're not profitable right now, that you can see a path to profitability, okay? So when I first started my business, that was the first thing I was focused on, was profitability. I wanted to make money first before I even invested a dime, right? I just used Instagram and Instagram marketing to prove that I had a concept here that was going to work, right? That I started selling coaching before I invested a dime in like a business coach or software or anything, right? So I proved that to myself. And then when I made my first business investment, it was money that I didn't have. But I decided this very specific investment that I was gonna make, I was gonna put it on a credit card. And my plan was to make the payments on it, right? Like I was going to use this investment to pay off this credit card over a certain amount of months, okay? And so I had a very clear plan of when I was going to be profitable again, and I was going to use this investment as a way to leverage me, right? Like I was going to call it slingshot energy, right? Like pull myself back in order to shoot forward. And I was able to pay off the credit card actually within the first month. So I didn't even need the plan I had put myself on, but I had such strong intention towards being profitable that I didn't just like get all these softwares and automations and hire all these different team members and people just because I thought that's what a business needed to have, because I was focused on money in my pocket, right? That's what I want. I wanted money in my pocket and I wanted to help people. Those were my only two goals when I first started my business. Still my only two goals, right? All the other stuff is just fluff and other extraneous things that need to happen, okay? So that's why bookkeeping is important and looking at your numbers is important. Now, what to do before you're profitable? I had a question in the DMs that said, like, what if I'm not able to pay off my business credit card with the money that's in my business checking account, right? Like you separate your money. What if I'm not profitable yet? You can do two things. One, you can let the money sit on the credit card, right? And decide that next month you are going to be profitable and be able to pay it off then. Or you can use your personal money to invest inside of your business. So you can do what's called an owner's investment, which is where you take your personal money and you put it into your business accounts to fund your business. Like you are an investor in your own business. Now, all that looks like, it's a really fancy term for transferring money from your personal checking account to your business checking account. That's an owner's investment, right? So I have a client right now who she is growing her business at the moment, and she's making owner's investments into her business every month to pay off the minimums on her credit cards and investments while she is working on becoming profitable, right? But she also intimately knows those numbers. She knows what her owner's investments is costing her, and she has a trajectory for when she's going to become profitable, okay? Number 4, pay yourself monthly and consistently. So if you have a business, you should be only paying yourself once a month, and you should be paying yourself consistently, okay? So what I mean by this is I see a lot of, I actually have had clients who have come to me who have businesses and even like multiple 6-figure businesses, and their method for paying themselves from their business, they had separated their money. They would just pull money out of their business checking account when they needed it, right? But they would try and keep as much money as possible inside their business account. They like always felt guilty when they had to pull money out. But what was happening was like they then never felt good spending the money that they were making inside their own business because they just didn't have a process to pay themselves, okay? So one of my clients, what we did was we set up a system for her to pay herself monthly, where she was gonna pay herself a set amount plus an additional percentage of what she profited. And she would just transfer that money every single month. And it was only one time a month because what we talk about inside personal money flows, right? And understanding your personal numbers is that she knew exactly what it cost to live as her, right? In her life, month to month to month. So she knew the minimum that she needed to pay herself every month from her business to survive. But then she would give herself bonuses, because when she would make a lot of money, hell yeah, girl, you're gonna pay yourself a bonus. So we created this system for her specifically and how her business finances were lining up. Now, I also have a client who her business is not currently funding her entire personal expenses, right? So she also has other income that is supporting her while she's building up her business, but she also still has some profit in her business. So we decided on a system where she pays herself 50% of her profit every single month, no matter what it is, right? She's covering her baseline expenses from her other income. But then as she's paying herself 50% of her profit, what's going to happen is there's going to come a point with her business where it's going to start fully funding her lifestyle. And then she can start letting her other jobs and income fall away. Okay. So she can clearly transition into full-time in her business with a safety, right, of understanding that her business actually does fund her life, right? Because of that system that she has. So, and what this also helps prevent is pulling money out of your business anytime you want something, right? I want you to think about your business as this totally separate living, breathing entity, okay? And you mingle with it, of course. You're communing with it, of course. But it's not just your cash cow. It's not something you can just pull money from all the time, anytime you want. You want to have a specific reason, a specific amount, and a specific system in order to receive money from your business, because your business has needs. Your business is going to have investments it needs. Your business has an expense, right? Your business has a monthly expense number, just like your personal life. You personally have a monthly expense number. You need investments. You need fuel, just like your business does, okay? So that's why you want to have that monthly system of paying yourself. What this also does is it gets you in the habit of reaping the rewards of all the work you're putting into your business, right? When you have that habit in place. The other thing this does is it makes sure that you are treating, it's like a mental financial CEO thing, right? Like becoming a financial CEO in your brain. When you treat your business like an actual company, it will feel weird for you to just like pull money from it whenever, right? When you're like, yeah, I pay myself X amount every single month from my company. My company pays me X amount every single month, right? And what this does too is as your business grows and grows and grows, and I'm going to get into some legal tax financial jargon here. But when you become an LLC and then you elect as an S Corp, which is like when your business is profiting enough that you want to like lower your tax liability, your CPA will help you with all of that. Let me be very clear. You will not have to do that on your own. But when that happens, you have to put yourself on salary. And so when you get to that point, you want to already have an understanding of what your business can afford to pay you and what you need to live, right? So what your salary is going to be, and then also what you may need to pull on top of it every single month. All of what we're doing here, no matter where you're at with your business, why I'm not saying like a threshold for how much you're making for these best practices is that these best practices, you can start doing them immediately when you have an idea for a business that you want to start running. And all of these best practices will follow you up until you are making $10 million, right? Because when we're talking about separating your finances, applies to everyone. Having a great CPA and looking at your own bookkeeping, looking at your numbers, applies to everyone. Prioritizing your profit applies to everyone. And now paying yourself consistently and monthly applies to everyone. And the fifth one now. This is the last one that I want to end on. Number 5 is don't worry about getting an LLC until you are making money. Do not worry about getting an LLC until you are making money. I see so much LLC conversation, especially in the acting world, where it's like, if I'm an actor, I need to get an LLC because I want tax breaks, right? It's like good for me to be able to do that for taxes. And like, let me explain here what an LLC actually is. So an LLC it's called a limited liability corporation. So what this means is it's like a legal box around your business that protects you legally, okay? It doesn't do anything different to your taxes. Because what I want you to understand is the moment you start like charging for services, like the moment I made my first $300 with my first coaching client, all of a sudden, I was a business owner. It didn't matter that I hadn't filed an LLC, right? I charged someone for a service and now I was a business owner. In the eyes of the IRS, that is called a sole proprietorship. You do not have to file any paperwork to become a sole proprietor. The moment you start charging for a service like that, right, or starting your business, making money from a business that you have created, you are a sole proprietor, okay? So a sole proprietor is a business that's like running as you. It's all filed under your social security number, right? But when you create an LLC, it's like putting a bubble, a protective shield bubble around your, okay, I'm reading A Court of Thorns and Roses right now. Or the series I'm on Silver Flames right now. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, stay with me. But the image that just came to mind is like when these fairies are able to put like protective shields around themselves or around others, like they're putting a bubble, a shield around your business. That's what an LLC is doing. Lord help me. So what happens is it doesn't affect your taxes at all. All that happens is now, like if someone goes to sue you personally, they can't touch your business. Or if like someone tries to sue your business, they can't touch you personally. So like your personal assets, investments, money is all yours, and your business's assets, money, and things is all it, okay? So when you have an LLC, it's protecting you legally. But a sole proprietor and an LLC have the exact same tax liability situations. When your taxes start to change as a business owner is when you elect an S Corp status. Now, again, a CPA will help you do this. Do not do this on your own. An S Corp, you normally start to implement that when you are making over $60,000 in profit. Now, becoming an S Corp lowers your taxes that you have to pay, but there are expenses that you have to pay to be an S Corp, right? Like putting yourself on payroll costs money, right? There are other things that you have to spend money on that if you are not making at least that amount of profit, the taxes you're saving, it's a moot point. Like it's gonna put you in the hole. It's not good to have that if you're not making as much in profit. So that's the threshold. So I just want to explain all of that. So getting an LLC, do that after you've made money from the business you're creating. Make it a viable thing first, right? Like go prove to yourself that this is one, a business you want to have and continue to have. And two, that you can get clients, that you can sell, that you can market, that you can, make money off of this thing that you're creating a business around. Because an LLC costs money to start and maintain. Depending on your state, it's varying levels of cost, but it does cost money and it takes effort to begin and like file paperwork for. So just make sure that this business is something you want and can make you money before you file the LLC, right? Because it's not going to affect your tax status. Now, having an LLC is great. If you have a business that is up and running and has clients or has people that are paying you, it's great to have the legal protection. And then at some point you will be making over $60,000 in profit, and then you will get to get some tax benefits from it, okay? So put more of your effort into prioritizing your profit rather than trying to figure out all this legal stuff before you even realize if it is profitable or if you even want to do it. Okay, so that's number 5. So to recap, 5 best money practices for creative business owners and coaches. Separate your finances immediately. Get a CPA, but do your own bookkeeping or be looking at your bookkeeping, right? Have an intimate knowledge of your numbers. 3, prioritize profit. Have a runway to profit. Never forget about profit, money in your pocket. Number 4, pay yourself monthly and consistently. Having monthly financial CEO parties makes this so easy because you can just add this into your financial CEO party checklist, doing this. And don't worry about getting an LLC until you are making money. And then go ahead and do all the legal stuff, right? But focus on liking it, creating a business you enjoy, and getting clients, getting paid in your business before you worry about that legal protection. And the moral of this whole story is that organization and clarity is your best friend. This is what I help all of my clients do who have businesses or who want to create a business. Or if you're like, I have a couple of clients who are making 100% of their income from their artistic career. And so what they've done is, even though their artistic career started out as like freelancing, their artistic career became its own business, got incorporated on its own. And so now their artistic career is a business. And so we are working on together separating finances, right? And continuing to make it simple, making sure you can still manage all of your money in less than an hour a month, making sure they have a board of directors on their team that feels good. And when I say board of directors, that just means that you have a CPA that you really like, you have a coach you really like, you have possibly a financial planner you really like, right? I have a couple of clients who are in the 7-figure, like multi-million-dollar business range. And when you're playing with that much cash, that much money, it behooves you to have a financial planner to like help you play with how you want to utilize those extra dollars, okay? So that's what I mean by board of directors, having a solid grounding of money people around you. And not just money people, like, do you have a good therapist or life coach that you like to, that sort of thing. We also make sure that we are looking at their numbers together, making sure their business financials are healthy, that they are prioritizing profit. And with a lot of my clients, we are creating that system to pay themselves monthly. We're coming up with what we want that system to be. Sometimes it's a flat amount every single month. Sometimes it's a percentage, just based on what's happening inside of their numbers. So we're doing all of this together because, of course, with so many of you all who are listening to this, right? Like, the business and the legal and the finances, it's not your calling in this world. So we want to make it so simple for you to understand it so that you can spend less of your time doing that and more of your time doing the shit you were put on this earth to do. So if you are interested and want support in doing all of this, because y'all know we're going to do this strategy and then you're going to have thoughts that come up about it, and we're going to work on your mindset. We're going to work on like emotionally regulating, making sure you actually do feel confident in your brain. You feel like a business owner. You feel like a financial badass in your brain as you're taking all of these tactical actions. So you can book a sales call with me for one-on-one coaching, and all of my one-on-one clients now get the full curriculum inside of Cashed Up Creatives for free as a bonus for the duration of their one-on-one coaching container. So you're going to have access to those multiple trainings inside of the Treat Your Art Like a Business module. So you have that access, that understanding, as well as all of the other education and money strategy that's in that curriculum. So then in our one-on-one container, you can have all of those videos to look back on and to learn, and then we can come to the calls and actually implement and take action and work through your specific mindset blocks, your specific questions about how those trainings and those videos apply to your life. Your business financials should be simple. They should be easy for you to understand, and that is what I'm here to help you do. I want every single piece of your money life, of your relationship with money, to feel like one that is full of ease and excitement. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. Come join me on Instagram for more on how to build a simple, sexy relationship with your money. My Instagram handle is @NotStarvingArtists. And if you want to dive deeper with me, head to the show notes to learn more about one-on-one coaching. If you love this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend that you want to get rich with.